Hi, today I'm refinishing this old radio. This was made by Silvertone, I guess probably in the early 1960s, maybe late 50s. This radio was, sorry, there's a cat uh, walking around the stand. It is AM and FM, and the case is not in bad shape actually, but the finish does have some problems, mostly on the top. It looks like the finish has lifted in a few spots, and I can feel some texture in it, like it's starting to come up. Probably it got wet, I would guess. And there are a few other spots that aren't looking so hot, like this spot down here. The finish looks kind of light or bleached. I'm guessing that's probably water damage too. And a few other light spots here and there. So I could probably get away with just trying to touch up those areas that are damaged, but it's so small that I figure why not just refinish the whole thing. And it looks like it's got some really nice veneer on it, or actually some of it's probably solid walnut, like maybe around the speakers. And these old lacquer finishes tend to yellow over the decades, so I think if I just take it all off and put a nice new finish on, it'll let that nice walnut grain shine even more. First thing I'm going to do is remove as much of this stuff as I can from the front. I think it's going to come off pretty easy. Looks like there's some nuts in the back holding this on, so I'll have to get that off. And there were some nuts holding this on, but I removed those already, so this should come off. There it is. Well, I almost had it off. There's one bracket in here holding it on. Let's see if I can get that off. So this is the bracket in here that's preventing it from coming out. But I don't think I need to take that off if I can take this the tuning dial faceplate off. Looks like if I take that off, then I can get it out without removing that bracket. The stripper that I'm using is QCS by Stripwell, and I've been using this for quite a while now, and it works really great on these old mid-century lacquer finishes. If you'd like to try it for yourself, I have a discount code in the video description that will get you 10% off your order. While the stripper is doing its thing, I'm going to clean up this faceplate. And I was kind of surprised. It feels like it's metal. It's pretty heavy. I was expecting it to be just plastic, but it's pretty dirty, kind of dull on the front. I'm going to use some flits, see if I can shine it up a bit. Yeah, it looks better already. It's a big scratch here, but I don't think we're going to get that out. I think there's actually some kind of a plastic film over this. At first I thought maybe it was clear lacquer, but I can kind of see the edge of the plastic film. I can kind of feel it. So if I took that off, it would probably be a nice clean surface, but I don't think I should do that. There may be a good reason they put that on. Actually, maybe this stuff is printed on that. I'll just leave it alone. The stripper has been on there about 30 minutes and it feels like it's softened the finish, so I'm gonna try removing it now. So you can see the finish on there. It's kind of hard to tell on a piece like this if the finish is coming off because the finish is pretty much clear on this, but I can see it kind of balling up on the spatula here. Okay, so most of the finish is off and I'm just going to put some more stripper on and let it sit for a little bit just to get whatever's left, and then go over it with some steel wool. I can kind of feel where there's still some finish. The steel wool pad will drag on the surface, and just give those areas a little bit more attention. I wasn't able to remove these speaker grills without doing some major disassembly, so I decided just to leave them and tape over them. And I'm just going to try really hard not to get anything dripping down there. So all the finish is off the top now, and it's already looking great. But I'm just going to give it a quick clean with some QCS surface cleanser just to get any remaining residue off. So now I just have to clean off the finish on this edge here. I didn't want to get stripper on that part and have it drip onto the grill cloth, so I'll just scrape that off with the razor. So I think I mentioned earlier before I stripped this, I could feel some texture in the top, like maybe it had gotten wet and it lifted a little bit. And I can still feel that, so I'm just gonna give this a little bit of sanding with 180. Not too much, because it's veneer, so don't want to sand through the veneer. And I taped off these sections because the grain's running this way and I don't want to sand accidentally across it. There's a little dent here right on the edge. Hopefully you can see it. Looks like a dark spot right there. And it's dark because I sanded this part, which lightened it, but then that's a low spot, so the sandpaper just went right over it, so it's still kind of dark. So it's not really a big deal. It wouldn't be that bad to just leave it. It's so small, but I'm going to try to steam it out. Apply some water first. And I've got a wet paper towel and a hot soldering iron. If you enjoy my videos and would like to help support this channel, please consider joining my Patreon. By joining Patreon, you not only help support what I do, but you also gain access to exclusive videos and updates available only to Patreon members. I'll put a link in the video description. Thanks. So you can still see that dark spot where the sandpaper didn't reach, but I can't feel it anymore. So let's try sanding it, see what happens. And now it looks like the rest of the surface, and I don't feel it anymore. So it's fixed. There's a little ding here in the corner. It's not very big, and it's not really a big deal. I could probably leave that one if I wanted to, but I'm going to try and fix it using one of these hard fill sticks. They're pretty easy to use. I'm just going to melt it into the little ding. And once it hardens, then I can just scrape off the excess and smooth it out. And it's done. I'd really like to spray a lacquer finish on this radio, but I need to spray this outside, and it's pretty cold out. It's maybe 28 degrees Fahrenheit, I think. And I have sprayed lacquer in that kind of temperature before, and it does usually work, but it's not ideal. But I think I'm going to give it a try, see how it goes. When I got this radio, this knob was broken off. And you can kind of see in here, there is part of the shaft of the potentiometer that this attached to. It was the on-off and the volume control. This is supposed to look like this. But this part is stuck in here. So I'm trying to figure out a way to get that out and maybe try to glue it back on to the potentiometer. I don't know how well that will work. Maybe it won't work at all, but I think it's worth a try. The only way I can think of to get that out is to cut this off somewhere around here and then push this out and then glue this back together. It's the best I can think of right now, so I think I'm going to try that. So here is the other end of that piece of the shaft, so I'm going to try to push it out that way. There it goes. Looks like I cracked this part in the process. Hopefully I can glue that back together. Okay, I've got some epoxy here, and I'm going to try to glue these pieces back together. I'm going to use a piece of this tape to hopefully hold it together while it dries and also after it dries. I think this is aluminum tape. Okay, hopefully that works. And now I have to glue this part back on here, and I'm not really sure how well this is going to hold. It may not hold at all once I start using the knob, but I'm going to give it a try. All right, we'll see. So the lacquer worked out fine, even with the cold temperatures. It's dry now, and I'm going to go over it with some wax and fine steel wool. Okay, time to put it all back together. All right, let's see how it sounds. Just brought home my latest find. Just brought home my latest find. Just brought home my latest find. See how it goes. Just brought home my latest find. Just brought home my latest find. Just brought home my latest find. And I think this piece kind of looks a bit chunky. Think this piece kind of looks a bit chunky. Think this piece kind of looks a bit chunky. Chunky, 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 chunky. Just brought home my latest find.